Welcome to the Vol Bros presented by the Ooltewah Club. My name is Evan. This is my brother Ruston, and we are two Vol Bros who are actually bros in real life. And as always, we are very appreciative of the Believe Entertainment Network. We proudly represent the University of Tennessee. Hopefully we do that well on the Believe Entertainment Network. We appreciate everybody's patience with us tonight, going live a little bit later than normal. We had parental duties between the two of us. There were 5 basketball games tonight that our kids were participating in.
6.
You had 4?
Quad header.
All right. Well, 6 games. It was a lot. I'll be honest with you. So, with that being said, we're glad to be alive now. We've certainly got plenty to talk about. National Signing Day was yesterday. The men's team recently played Syracuse. Women's team did I don't know if it's considered basketball what they did, but they did something against Stanford, which is a historically very good program, and they beat them, which is shocking, actually, the way they played, that they were able to win. But I may have just tipped my hand there a little bit on what I felt about that game. Let's start with football. Ruston, what were your overall thoughts? I mean, clearly it's a great day for Tennessee and signing day with the class. They got 3 5-star recruits. I mean, what was your overall thoughts?
We were on a Spaces last night, and I made the comment on there, and I still, just watching everything unfold, still believe it's true. I don't think we've begun to touch the tip of what the Adidas deal is going to do for Tennessee. I mean, no recruiting service was expecting Tennessee to do something huge. And depending on which service you follow, they're ranked anywhere from 3rd to 7th nationally. I think what excites me about it more is the fact that we were able to quietly pull this class using NIL. It makes me really excited for what we can do in the portal, because I know those coaches did not go spend all their money on high school kids. Like, they're sitting on a big chunk of cash to go attack the portal, and that's really exciting. Seeing what they could do with the money they have, we're in the conversation. The national conversation is now very much in reach when we can do things like that.
You know, clearly a little bit of a coup at the 8th and 11th hour seemed like yesterday, with Legend Bay flipping back to Tennessee because Brian Hartline left Ohio State. There is a whole bunch of talk in the chat already about Legend Bay's mom. It sounds like maybe something happened tonight, but go ahead.
He posted something on Instagram and then took it down.
Oh, okay. If Legend Bay's mom was one of the reasons why he decided to come back to Tennessee, then she's cool with me. The kid's dynamite, man. He's a playmaker. And, I've seen people say, well, it's just going to be the same situation as Boo Carter. They're just there for the money. Well, I hate to break it to everybody, but there's going to be a lot of people.
Yeah.
And a lot of programs all over the country that in this new era of NIL, they're only going to be there for the money.
Why do you think Tristan Keys is a ball?
Yeah. That was one thing. Shout out to Jason Williams, who had us on his show last night. It's called Space Vols, and he always hosts an audio podcast through Twitter or X Spaces. And, one thing we mentioned last night was Tristan Keys. I don't think anybody has to look any farther than Tristan Keys to know just how valuable that Adidas NIL deal was. Tristan signed an NIL deal with Adidas as a high school senior. There's no telling. Only people within the program would know the what really went on. I don't think any of us are too naive to think that Adidas isn't already helping Tennessee with NIL stuff, i.e. Boo Carter Adidas helps, or Boo Carter's NIL purchased brand new uniforms for Brainerd High School's football team this year, and they just so happen to be Adidas uniforms. Adidas is already. I don't think that any stretch at all to say that, and so clearly that helped with Tristan Keys. Side note, I'm going to tell you who I think the real MVP of National Signing Day was. That was VFL Films. That little video clip they put together for every signee, that was incredible. I mean, that was just incredible what they did with that. It was phenomenal. So, shout out to VFL Films. Clearly, Heupel and company did a phenomenal job on the recruiting trail, and they need to be. And like Ruston said, the exciting thing is going to be now who they get out of the portal. The portal officially opens first week of January. You've already seen a couple Tennessee defensive linemen announce their intentions to enter the transfer portal. When it does open, there will be more people that enter the transfer portal. It's just the way it is. And it'll be very interesting to see who Tennessee gets out of that portal. Now, is there any particular position that you hope Tennessee looks for in the portal?
All of them. I mean, go around the horn. We need another quarterback.
Well, we need another running back. That.
Yeah, need another running back. Probably need another slot receiver. We've got plenty of edge guys, but we really don't have a backup slot receiver. Offensive line, take your pick. We could use another guy at every spot there. Defensive line, we're going to lose several to the pros. Need a veteran. Need linebacker depth. Need another cover corner. Need safety depth. I think we're going to be real aggressive in the portal, and I wouldn't be surprised if we sign a guy at every position.
So with this wide receiver class coming in, Legend Bay could potentially be a backup slot receiver. The things that I think that they're going to have to focus on the most in the transfer portal are that they're going to have to get a quarterback. I mean, there's just no way, ifs, ands, or buts about it, that they have to, because Merklinger is going to be gone, and you can't play a season with only two quarterbacks. We've said that umpteen bajillion times on here. So they will for sure have to get a quarterback out of the transfer portal. They will also, I mean, if they went and got some offensive linemen, I'd be cool with that too. But you hit the nail on the head. Major position of need is going to be defensive line, because they're losing a bunch of dudes. That Jamal Wallace has already announced he's going to transfer. So they got to go get some Lindstrom. Guys. Yep. They got to go get some guys. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They got to get defensive linemen. I would love it if they got two corners and at least two safeties.
Now, I will say Jordan Carter, and you don't want to play many freshmen, but if there's a freshman coming in that can play right away, it's Jordan Carter. So he will be in the rotation somewhere.
But I think the top three positions of need in the portal, number one is going to be quarterback, because you got to have one. Number two is going to be defensive line, and I'm going to combine all the defensive backs into just the secondary, and number three be secondary. I think those be your top three positions where they're going to have to go get some folks. To all the folks joining us right now, we appreciate you joining us. Let's see, Mississippi Vol, welcome, buddy. I'd learned today this is Eric. It's good to see you on here. Hit the like. I never made that connection. How, I do not know, but he said hit the like and subscribe button. Santa's watching. And I don't know if anybody noticed it or not today on our social media, Santa filmed a video for the Vol Bros, which was pretty cool. It was definitely not AI generated. Just ignore the thing at the bottom of that video that says it is. It was totally the real Santa at the North Pole filming that for us. So shout out to you, Santa. Thank you for doing that. Let's see here. That may or may not be Santa's last time on our social media this month. Let's see. Stingray, welcome, buddy. Good to have you here. James, welcome. Great to have you. Let's see here. Billy, welcome, buddy. Good to have you with us. He says his wife's still struggling with health issues. I am so sorry about that, man. I will pray for her. Hope she is okay. for sure. Let's see. John, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. You said money has opened up Pandora's box when it comes to drama. You are not kidding. Let's see. Mr. Osborne, welcome, buddy. He said, good evening, good evening, Vol Bros and chat members. Hope your wife feels better soon, Billy. Absolutely. Rhonda's with us. Good to have you, Rhonda. She said, good evening, bros and chat family, using that Go Vols baby emoji. I like that. One day, StreamYard will be able to put those on here. I have faith. They're making like weekly improvements to StreamYard all the time, and it's all really cool stuff. Still haven't got that done yet, though. Let's see. James, welcome. He said, Evan, we all feel the same way regarding Lady Vols. It was hard to watch.
Yeah, they in Stanford set women's basketball back about 10 years.
Yeah, we'll get to that game here in just a minute. Mr. Osborne said, I'm curious about the whole legend-based situation. Very unusual. Well, so essentially what happened was Brian Hartline took the South Florida job after Alex Golish went to Arkansas and then Auburn. And so Brian Hartline left. He's offensive coordinator, wide receivers coach. So then Legend Bay, I think he was still kind of wanting to go to Ohio State, but his family tried to encourage, talk some sense into him. Like, you're the guy that you were going there to play for just left. So they convinced him to come back to Tennessee. Let's see here. Mino Likey's with us. Good to have you, Mino Likey. Jonathan, hey, buddy. Good to have you. He said, hello, Evan and Ruston and chat family. Hope everyone's had a great week. What's going on with Legend Bay? Elijah's with us.
Let me just put this thing to bed for good right now.
He said Legend Bay's a problem.
He is a 17-year-old kid who hasn't graduated high school yet.
And had an opportunity to play for the defending national champion.
Who's being offered hundreds of thousands of dollars by multiple programs. And to their credit, his mother and whoever else is around him are actually thinking in a level-headed way and not letting him chase the shiny thing and making good decisions on his behalf. It doesn't matter if he's good with it or not. He'll figure it out. And if he doesn't, he'll never play and he'll transfer. So who cares? I mean, it is what it is. And, he's a 17-year-old kid who has no clue what he's doing. So he'll be fine or he won't. And if he's fine, awesome. He could be a threat. If he doesn't mature and he stays a baby about this and he pouts, in a year he'll transfer and it won't matter because he'll hardly step on the field anyway.
That's very true. Rebel Jew, welcome, buddy. He said, I saw footage of Faison Brandon playing in high school. Can't wait until he plays for the Vols. He's going to be an elite quarterback under Heupel. That is the hope. I've given him a year or two to develop, but that is the hope. The kid's got skills, that's for sure. Let's see here. He said, of course, Faison isn't a 5-star anymore because he signed with Tennessee. Yeah, that's, yep, you got it. Elijah said, I feel like someone big for the Vols is going to jump ship.
Inevitably. You could remove Vols from that sentence and plug in every single school in America because everybody's going to lose somebody they're not expecting. Everybody's tampering. Tennessee's tampering. Everybody's tampering. Everybody's offering money behind the scenes through agents and parents and, connections. Everybody's going to lose somebody. It's going to happen. So We'll see who's here in August.
Jonathan said it won't be necessary if Joey gets to come back. We won't need that portal quarterback. I agree. That is true.
Sure.
If he wins, then we won't need that. But I don't have high hopes that they're going to get that solved because at that point, okay. Here's this is a good topic of conversation. If that wins, if Diego Pavia, if Joey Aguilar win that lawsuit, and listen, man, I would love to have Joey back another year. I think he'd be fantastic. But if they win that, essentially what the NCAA would then have set a precedent for is that a kid out of high school could go play JUCO for 2 years and then still have essentially 4 years of eligibility left in Division One. So they're telling kids they could go play for 6 years in college. And if there's a medical red shirt, maybe even 7. I mean, I just don't think it would be good for college football in general if that lawsuit were to win. I mean, I'd love to have Joey back. I would. But I don't know if college football needs that lawsuit to win. It's a tough situation for sure.
I don't want that lawsuit to win. I don't want Diego Pavia to have an option to come back, and I'm fine to sacrifice Joey to make sure Diego doesn't return.
James said JJ Finch is a grown man. Loved his commitment video. Just like Mark Nagy said, and he tagged Jason Swain in the comments. He said Tennessee's recruiting kids that look like they're 30 years old again. That's a good sign.
Somebody else tweeted a picture of him and said he looks like he has 2 kids and a mortgage.
Yeah, exactly. Killer Dude 35 made a good point. He said the portal will probably be closed before that lawsuit gets a ruling. We have to go get a quarterback. Yeah, it's fair.
True.
Tony said we need about 10 transfers on defense at least. Let's see here. Rebel G said the schedule next season's looking rough. They better build up that defense. Next season's schedule is going to be a big test on Heupel's career. You are not kidding. Next season's schedule is brutal. Let's see. Nolan, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, hey, Vol Bros. Let's see. Jonathan said, you just never know with the NCAA. That's true. Rebel G said Penn State still has no head coach. No head coach on signing day. They dropped below 150 there. That program is set back for many years. They didn't know what they had until it was gone. That is a very fair assessment. Listen, if there is anybody who has ever botched a coaching search, it is Penn State in 2025. This is literally maybe the worst coaching search I've ever seen because they fired their head coach less than 3 weeks after he was ranked in the top 5 teams in the country. They fired him before anybody else did. And so they had more time to find a head coach than any other team. And yet they still haven't found one. And now we're past National Signing Day. So they did not even have a coach on National Signing Day. That is the most botched coaching search I've ever even heard of.
So Rivals is my favorite one. Currently, Penn State's recruiting class is number 166 nationally, tied with the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga.
Hey, go Mocs.
Currently ranked ahead of them, Colgate, not the toothpaste, Brown, Monmouth, South Dakota, Richmond, Illinois State, Mercer, Austin Peay, Eastern Kentucky, Southeastern Louisiana, Dartmouth, Northern Arizona. The Fighting Whatever They Are's of Northern Arizona are currently 13 spots ahead of Penn State. And what makes it even better is Penn State signed 2 kids, and they would have only had one if the other one hadn't been given a Get shirt by Alex Golish. So they got the Falzone kid. Yeah, Northern Arizona. They got the Falzone kid because he was supposed to sign with Auburn, and Alex Golish sent the word he didn't want him. So Penn State would have signed one guy if that hadn't happened.
So shout out to Northern Arizona Lumberjacks. As you might imagine, I have their mascot pulled up on my screen here.
Oh, it's awesome. Sure. He's got like massive arms.
There you go. He is. Louis the Lumberjack. That's what I'm talking about. Here is a artist rendering of Louis, and here he is in real life. Look at that. Go Louis. Louis the lumberjack with his axe wielding arms.
I don't think he's legal on college campuses. I'm pretty sure he's not allowed to just walk around with that thing.
Let's see. Go ahead.
UTC's social media team should have a field day.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
like blur out the rankings and just show UTC and Penn State tied in the recruiting rankings.
Absolutely. Elijah said, wish more recruits were like Faison, committed and never went on another visit. Never even gave other schools time of day. Yeah, man. That's pretty sweet.
Probably partially because of the NIL deal we had in place.
Herb, welcome, buddy. He said, Tennessee can't wait for that ruling on Joey. He's right.
Yeah.
Rebel Juice said college football is enough of a mess already. Hopefully that lawsuit is a loss. Billy said he's ready to move on anyway. He said he is not Hendon Hooker. Elijah said Penn State literally destroyed their entire football program for the foreseeable future. Yeah. I mean, you can't go a whole signing class with, less than 5 dudes in the fold.
Well, I mean, technically right now, it's not even just that they don't have a head coach. Technically right now, they really don't have any coaches. I mean, there's still guys on staff and they're doing what they're supposed to do, but none of those people are going to be at Penn State next year, most likely.
Yeah.
So, they're not actively doing this job well. They're actively interviewing everywhere else. So it's a train wreck.
Jonathan, that's a great question. He said, I wonder who y'all would want for the transfer quarterback if you had your pick. I think there's going to be several people. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're about to say what I was about to say.
I think there's going to be several people on the market because of all the coaching changes that we've seen. I would say Taylor Green, but I think Alex Golish. Well, no, never mind. He went to Auburn, so Taylor Green.
Ryan Silverfield.
Yeah, I think Taylor Green will be in the transfer portal personally.
I think the hard part is because of NIL, we don't really know who's available.
Right.
Yeah, and the reality is everybody's tampering. So,
for sure.
There might be, a quarterback at trying to think of somebody had a decent year, Indiana, who is getting poached by somebody in the SEC because Indiana can't match his NIL deal offer. Is he in the portal right now? No. Could he be? Sure. Money talks. So I don't know. I think it's way too early. I think you're not going to know anything about this team until end of school, May.
And just so everybody knows, what we're talking about with the schedule being tough next year. Here's who they're playing. They do have 2, next year they do go to a non-conference game schedule, which why we're doing that, I have no idea. But that's what we're doing. So why the SEC chose to do that makes no sense to me. The committee continues to show that all that matters ultimately at the end of the day, wins and losses. So why make it harder on yourself? I just don't get it. So the 2 cupcake games, I guess you could call them, they play Furman and Kennesaw State. Those are the 2 cupcake games. They start the season September 5th with Furman at home.
Both currently ranked in recruiting ahead of Penn State.
Yeah, that's a valid point. Then the second week of the season, they go to Atlanta to play Georgia Tech. And then
which that game got a lot easier today.
That's true. Then
Georgia Tech's offensive coordinator's heading to Florida.
And then September 19th, they host Kennesaw State. So 2 of the 3 games are certainly wins. You would like to think that all 3 are wins. And then here comes the conference schedule. Literally, the rest of the season is SEC games. They host 3, and they go on the road for 4 of them. The 3 games they host next year are Alabama, Auburn, and LSU. So Lane Kiffin and probably an entire new roster funded by whoever out of the transfer portal is going to be coming to Neyland Stadium next year. The road games, they go to Arkansas. So this will be the 3rd year in a row they've played Arkansas. I didn't even think about it. So Alex Golish and Lane Kiffin are coming back. They go to Arkansas, to South Carolina, to Texas A&M, and to Vanderbilt. We already know that Texas A&M game is going to be tough. Hopefully Pavi is gone. So really, I mean, who knows? But they got at least 3. You can make a case for 4 or 5 really tough conference games out of the 9. Let's see here. We just had a super chat, I believe. Or no, we got a new member. Blake, thank you, buddy. Thank you for becoming a channel member. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. I think I can actually upload a couple more channel emojis, so we're going to try doing that. Let's see here. Some of the other comments coming through. Go Big Orange Kyle Beach said, one thing about the schedule next year, you're going to be playing 3 schools with new coaches. That is correct. Arkansas, Auburn, and LSU. I would have said South Carolina, but they can't afford to fire Beamer right now because there's nobody on the market that they would want to replace him.
Yep.
10 Cup, welcome. He said Penn State only had 2 commitments earlier today. Kyle said that Penn State's athletic director is probably on a short leash now. Greenway, welcome, buddy. Good long time since I've seen you on here. He said Flagstaff, Arizona is one cool city, though. Northern Arizona Lumberjacks. They must be in Flagstaff. That's what I'm talking about. Shout out Flagstaff. Tony said we have no room to talk about firing coaches. Banks and William Inge are still at UT. If Heupel doesn't fire them in the next 3 to 4 weeks, he's not serious about next year.
I wouldn't even say next 3 to 4 weeks. I would say changes will happen within a week. No one makes changes before National Signing Day.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to risk that.
Exactly
just ask Ohio State. Ask Ohio State how that goes. Ohio State's recruiting class took a major hit when Brian Hartline announced he was leaving the day before National Signing Day. So now that signing day's done, changes will happen.
Yep. I just said Penn State ruined it all because the national semifinals wasn't enough for them. It's going to take
and now they've begun their decade of dysfunction.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, any idea when the lawsuit will take place? They've already filed it, so there's no telling how long it's going to take the courts to rule on it. But I wouldn't expect it to be anytime soon, personally. Rebel G said Penn State's expectations are too high and they don't understand that. Let's see. As far as transfer quarterbacks, Kyle said Lenore Sellers would look good in this offense. Yes, he would. Absolutely. Elijah said, give me Taylor Green every day of the week. Let's see.
So Barstool is reporting that Penn State is about to hire Matt Campbell.
Matt Campbell is Iowa State's head coach. So that would be a very interesting hire. Definitely, I don't think it's an upgrade over James Franklin, but oh well. Sam, welcome, buddy. He said, what kid doesn't think they should get more playing time and be paid more? Agents are getting paid to stay in their ear and tell them to do so. That's exactly right. Nolan said, do y'all think if we try to do what we did in 2024 and run the ball with one bell cow running back and maybe simply simplify the playbook a bit and rely on a hard-nosed defense, could we be back at 10-2 again?
We got lucky that year. I don't think any school in modern SEC football can rely on one running back. We were very fortunate Dylan Sampson survived that season. And, all we talked about was how the reason we were 10-2 was because the playbook was too simple. There wasn't enough options. And we could have easily been 11-1 or 12-0 if we had a little more diversity to the play calling. The reality is we could have been 10-2 or 11-1 this year if the defense had tackled someone. I mean, that's what it comes down to. So, I think it comes down to complementary football. Your defense, again, the defense this year let us down. We could have easily been 10-2 or 11-1. Got to tackle.
Let's see here. We just had a super chat. Timothy said, did you hear about Legend Bay? Don't want him here if you don't want to be here. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit ago. Money talks, and his parents are trying to help him make a wise decision. That
let's give the kid a break and let him actually graduate high school and then get on campus. And if he still feels that way, then goodbye.
Green Wave said 2026 schedule's a nightmare. It might be. Because here's another thing. We don't even know who's going to be on these other teams yet because their coaches don't know who's going to be on their team yet. So, who knows? Like, who knows who Auburn's going to get out of the portal? Who knows? It could go any way. Blake, I Bleed Orange said, do you guys think Joey will still be the starter week 1? No, I don't think he will be on our roster because I don't think they're going to win the lawsuit. Kyle said, I'm probably going to be playing Georgia Tech in the Gator Bowl. Let's see. Nolan said, also, I think if we ran what we did with Nico in 24 with a new transfer, one younger, we could potentially see the best team we've had under Heupel, especially with our talent wide receiver.
I can almost guarantee you we won't be playing Georgia Tech in a bowl game because the schools have a say in that. And being that Georgia Tech's the second game on our schedule next year, neither school's going to agree to
that. Green Wave said, don't we host 5 and road 4 games?
That sounds right.
The schedule I'm looking at right now is missing 2 games. I just realized that. All right, let me go back and find the full one. Yeah, Kentucky, and yeah. So we also host Kentucky and we host Texas. So those are 2 other games. So Kentucky's going to be a win, and we host Texas as well. So we host 5 and go on the road for 4. Thank you, Green Wave. I appreciate that. Tony said next year's conference schedule dates will be released next Thursday on SEC Network. That's exciting. Elijah said it's a nightmare schedule. Definitely hosting Texas that's going to be an interesting one. I'm sure Peyton will be in attendance for that. John said if Haynes King is still starting for Georgia Tech, he could give us fits. Green Wave said we'll host one night game and go on the road for all the rest. Nolan said the schedule next year is going to be a gauntlet. There will be a lot of 2-3 loss SEC teams. Yeah, for sure. Because we're making it harder on ourselves. Don't know why. Elijah said could literally see 5-7 next year. Rebel G said, do you think Tim Banks will be with Tennessee next season?
No.
I don't either. Let's see. Yeah, Kyle's right. Kentucky also, so that's 4 teams with a new coach. Mr. Osborne said, I think Rodney Garner will stay now since Auburn is keeping their current defensive coordinator and defensive line coach. Agreed?
Kind of has to. There's nowhere to go.
Kyle said Matt Campbell would be a good hire, but that should have been a month ago. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know that I agree with that. You're trading down. You're going from James Franklin to Matt Campbell. That's not good.
Jonathan said, I don't think Inns should be fired, but Banks does need to go, and maybe Halsley needs to go as well. Let's see. Kyle said, I don't think there's any reason to let anyone go on the offensive staff. We are the number 1 offense in the SEC and number 7 overall. Yeah, that's fair. 10 Cup said our best recruit might be Rodney Garner. Yeah, that's fair. Rebel Juice said, if the lawsuit's a win, we got to deal with another year of Pavia's brother, too. Killer Dude 35 said we were 10-2 last year because we roughed a stupid punter on the road. That's exactly right.
Yep.
That is exactly right. Let's see. Sam said, Legend Bay's mom is teaching us all that parents want their young men in a stable health environment. Fanatics should take note when they want to burn the university over an 8-win season where injuries plagued. I'm assuming is what the rest of that. I'm sure it's down here somewhere. Rebel G said, going to see a Pavia and AARP commercials next season. That's good. Tim said,
I don't. Go ahead.
He was just saying, why waste time with a dysfunctional family like Nico and Boo? I don't think this is a dysfunctional situation like the Boo situation was.
I think this is an immature kid whose parents or whose family is trying to help him make the best decision. I don't think it's dysfunctional at all. I think they're being logical. And again, it's December 4th. That kid doesn't graduate high school for another 6 months. Like, let's just hold off on judging him. He's 17 years old. He doesn't know any better.
Let's see here. Blake said, do you think Tennessee will go after Jim Knowles? Jim Knowles is the defensive coordinator at Penn State. I mean, who knows?
I think that depends on if Matt Campbell wants him to stay.
Yeah. Wayniak said, just want to say go Big Orange. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for joining us. Elijah said, got to go to bed, guys. Got to be up at 3 a.m. See y'all on Sunday. Oh, man, I'm so sorry you got to be up that early. Hope you have a good I'm assuming you're getting up for a business thing or work thing, so hope it goes well. Hope you get some good sleep between now and then. Let's see here. Rebel Juice said Peyton's going to be conflicted when Texas comes to Tennessee. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. It's a win-win situation for him, I guess. Let's see. Yeah, okay, Nolan, yeah, you're exactly right. He said, is it just me or does anybody else remember when we were told how Jackson Ross could do all these awesome things with the football and we never ran a trick play with him, not a single time?
And we just signed Jackson Ross 2.0.
Oh, really?
Yep, signed another Aussie punter.
I wonder if he's ambipedal as well.
If he's a rugby guy, probably so.
Gillard said Matt Campbell is a consolation prize. Certainly not worth firing Franklin and blowing your recruiting class up over. I agree with that. Let's see. Nolan said Legend's not going to start at Tennessee or Ohio State day one anyway, so it doesn't matter. He's just sitting freshman year. I just said good old Amazon during Christmas time. That's why he's got to get it. Oh, man, I'm sorry. Well, I hope you have a easy time and clear roads in the morning, buddy. Let's see. Tim said, "I want Dale Jones or bring the Chef Davis or Chef Chavis back." Um,
Don't see either of those things happening.
yeah. Thank you for that super chat, though. That's awesome.
I would be curious to know, and Heupel's doing a really good job keeping this close to the vest. I would like to know if there's been a conversation with Tony White at Florida State. I'd like to know if there's been a conversation with Mark Stoops. Um, there's some high caliber defensive coordinators out there right now.
Killer Dude asked, did Hyder sign with Michigan? He did. Let's see. I believe Orange City also works at Amazon. Yeah, man, I bet it's a busy time of year for sure. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a rugby. I don't know if he's a rugby punter or not. I just know he came out of that same developmental program in Australia, and all those guys play rugby, so it would make sense.
Let's see. Killer Dude said, what about the idea of hiring Muschamp? No.
His son is currently on the roster at Vanderbilt, so I would say that's not even an option.
David said, I want Brendan Sorsby if Joey Aguilar is gone. I'm not familiar with Brendan Sorsby. I'm going to have to look him up. Brendan Sorsby, football quarterback. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, guy from Cincinnati. Okay, I'm with you now. I got you. Let's see. All right. Well, let's talk about some basketball. How about that? Because the men's and women's teams both played this week. They both play again this weekend. The men's team played Syracuse at Syracuse earlier this week. The women played Stanford last night. The men came up just short. The women did win. This weekend, the men play Illinois on Saturday in Nashville, actually. And then the women, they play, I believe, Winthrop, I think is who it is. Yeah, Winthrop. They play Winthrop on, no, that's not till next Sunday. I was wrong. That's December 14th. So the women have a long break. They have 11 days between their two games.
That's weird.
I was thinking it was this Sunday, but it's not. It's next Sunday.
I did too.
So, Rustin, let's start with the men's game against Syracuse. What did you think about that? What did you think about the result? What did you think?
Didn't care about the result because it's still early season. Stuff happens. We all know if JP Estrella plays, we win the game by 15. So, it is what it is. I was glad to see Jalen Carey assert himself and be a legitimate threat. He's finally figuring out where he fits in, and that's only gonna bode well for conference play and postseason. I don't. Amari Abram is playing injured right now. We need him to get healthy. The combination of Bishop Boswell, Amari Abram, and Ethan Berg, and I don't care how they do it, but those three need to combine for 15 points every night. Like, it needs to be two guard by committee. They all need to be a threat. They all need to be active. And if they each only get 4 or 5 points each, that's fine. We win. We just got to have some kind of production out of that position. Cade Phillips has got to be more aggressive with the ball. He's deferring to everybody else almost every possession. But the reality is, if Felix and JP combine for a double-double every night, if they combine for 15 points, 10 rebounds, That's the post presence we need. If Jalen Carey goes out and gets 10 points a night, which he's very capable of doing, that's huge. Jacoby Gillespie's going to get his. If the 3-2 guards combine for 15, we win. Like if those things happen, it doesn't matter what Nate Ament does. Everything he gives you is just gravy. So he ends up being, instead of a win, he becomes a double figure win. We still tend to have moments where we stop and watch Jacoby and Nate and just wait on them to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And we need constant movement. We need everybody involved. And I think the biggest thing they learned is, and this will be true when JP gets healthy too, if they need to go get a bucket, they can run an isolation play. They can get Jalen Carey the ball inside. They can get JP Estrella the ball inside, and then go get a bucket. And that's invaluable. So I think Syracuse was a fluke. When have you ever heard of a Rick Barnes team giving up 25 points off turnovers? That was the difference in the game. They had 15 more points off turnovers than we did. Everything else was almost equal across the board. So, all the pieces are there. Just got to get healthy, continue to play together, continue to learn how to play together, and they're going to be fine.
Well, I think what we've learned is that this Tennessee basketball team goes as Jacoby Gillespie goes. That's the situation. I mean, let's go back to the Kansas game. By the second half of the Kansas game, Jacoby had played almost 3 full games because he never comes out, hardly ever. So he played almost 3 full games in 36 hours or 3 days. So I think that, at the end of that game, he starts airballing threes because he's so tired, and Kansas runs away with it. At Syracuse, listen, the Carrier Dome is interesting because if anybody doesn't know where Syracuse plays their basketball games, Timothy, I appreciate that super chat, buddy. I got you started there. I'm going to come back to your comment. But if anybody doesn't know where Syracuse plays their basketball games, it's the same place they play their football games. So they take their football stadium, cut it in half, essentially, with temporary bleachers, and play their basketball games in there. Now, it's not an excuse, but I do wonder what that does depth perception wise to a shooter in a space that is probably, no joke, 2 to 3 times bigger than what they're normally used to seeing when they're shooting a ball. So I do wonder what that does depth perception wise, because Jacoby couldn't have hit water if he jumped out of a boat at Syracuse. And that's not like him, because he was well rested. He's got a great shot, great stroke. That was not like Nate Ament. I don't know what in the world was going on with him. That was easily his worst game as of all so far. Even the last play of the game, they had a chance to win. And dude, if the backboard hadn't been there, he would have airballed it by like 7 feet past the rim. I mean, like, what in the world was that? I mean, it was just from 5 feet. He shot the ball halfway up the backboard. I mean, like, what in the world? It was not a good night for Nate Ament. Ball just going through his hands. Go ahead.
He had a freshman night, and the good news is it happened early.
Yep. So, I think it's very clear that Carey and JP Estrella are easily our 2 best post scorers. Felix and Cade are not great with their back to the basket. They can go get pretty much anything you throw up for them as an oop, but if you got a dude posting up, Carey and JP are the 2 guys that are going to get it in the hole after that. But bottom line is, this team goes as Jacoby Gillespie goes. We've seen that twice in a row now. So that's my take on what we saw. Uh, I would be curious to know what the outcome would have been if JP Estrella were playing. That's my main thing.
I think we win by 15.
Potentially so.
Because look at what Jalen Carey was able to do, and JP is a significantly better back to the basket guy than Jalen Carey. You put both of them inside on opposite sides of the paint, you're scoring every possession.
Yep. Some of the comments that came through, David said Carey needs to start over Okpara and have him come off the bench. He's clearly the alpha big man. Bobby said
they
Carey and
always
Brown need to start.
Oh my!
I wouldn't start Dwayne Brown personally.
No. They always defer to defense first, so Felix is always going to start because they want the rim protection.
Waniak said Estrella is huge for this team. Totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan, I see your comment there about the women's team. I got to start. I'll come back to it. Waniak said open Nate and Jacoby up with Estrella in the lineup. Boswell just needs to be that lockdown defender. And you know, a shout out to Bishop Boswell for having a huge three late in the game against Syracuse. Unfortunately, we still came up a little bit short.
We still, that 2 spot between Abrams, Boswell, and Berg needs to average 15 points a game between them, because that takes the pressure off Nate. If Nate doesn't feel like he has to pick up the scoring for that position, then he doesn't press and try to do too much. He just stays within the offense. And he is a much better player when he's not pressing and he's just doing the flow of the game.
You know, like he asked, is JP injured? He is. He and Amari Abram both rolled their ankle on the same play, actually, 2 or 3 games ago now. So they're both injured. JP was a little bit more injured. I think he's actually supposed to be back this Saturday against Illinois. Waniak said he doesn't think Berg is that guy though, or whatever how you pronounce it, Borg or whatever.
Yeah, he's still trying to figure out how he fits in, and you got to remember he's coming from the Israeli Pro League, and that's a very different game, and so he's trying to figure out how this team plays basketball, because it's not like any basketball he's ever played. So he's going to figure it out. I mean, the man fought in a war. Like this is not hard. So you know he'll be fine.
Andre, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said Tennessee needs a post player they can constantly go to when the jumpers are not falling. I believe those 2 dudes are Carey and Estrella. Those are the 2 guys that would qualify there.
They've got them. They just got to get them healthy.
Bobby said Nate needs to be more aggressive, step up, perform every night. Jacoby needs to control the game. Totally agree. Both counts.
And that'll come over time too. You know, again, Nate's 18 years old. Like he's been forced into the spotlight here, and he's responding well. That kid works hard. He's in the gym as much as anybody, and he'll be fine.
Robert said if they were good, if there is such thing as a good loss, this was it. It was for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Tony made a comment about women's basketball. Yep, I'm saving that because we're about to talk about that. Tim's talking about quarterbacks. Yeah, I got your. We're going to do that next, and then talk about women's basketball. Waniak said Nate needs to stop getting into foul trouble too. Yeah, for sure. Here's my thing with that. It's not that he's getting into foul trouble. It's how he's getting into foul trouble. He's making stupid decisions. Sometimes 90 feet away from the basket, reaching in on somebody 90 feet away from the basket. That's not wise. So I agree with that. But specifically, he needs to make better decisions about what he's doing and where on the court he's doing that. David said, Amen's frustrating due to super talented, but he's super soft inside for 6'9". Robert said the Carrier Dome's like the mini dome in ETSU. That's exactly right. Yeah, Wayne said he needs to stop making stupid fouls. Yeah, for sure.
Everybody needs to stop and take a step back. Um, Last year, Nate Ament was in high school. There was not a single gym in America that he walked into where he was not physically and skill wise the best player in the gym by a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So he spent the entire year last year doing the things that are getting him in foul trouble now, but being rewarded for it because he was just physically better than everybody else and he got away with it. A lot of the stuff he's getting cheap fouls on now were probably steals last year because he was just better. So he's going to learn. He's gonna know that he can't get away with that anymore, and that he's in a different level and a different speed, and he'll stop. But right now, his instinct and his habit is, I can go get that. So he'll learn.
Wayniak said he agrees with you. This is college, and he's got to step up. It's a step up in the competition, no doubt, for sure. Especially, I mean, you're playing, top 25 teams. I mean, essentially, they've played 4 top 25 teams in a row now. Let's see.
I coached a kid that was ranked in the ESPN top 300, and he used to joke around at practice. I mean, he was 6'11". He was unbelievably skilled, could bury the three anytime he wanted to. Had offers from multiple Power 4 schools at that time, Power 5. But he used to joke around in practice. Yeah, he used to joke around in practice and play left-handed. And he was better left-handed than half the kids in the gym were with their dominant hand. And he used to joke around and say, "Coach, I'm going D1 right-handed and NAI left-handed." And the reality was he probably could have. And so when you're playing a bunch of high school kids and you're that physically gifted, it's impossible to simulate the speed of the college game, and everything feels easy to you. And so, he's going to learn. He's not in high school anymore, and the habits he built there that aren't going to work anymore, he's just got to break.
I just noticed my Football Time in Tennessee magazine fell down. Speaking of Football Time in Tennessee,
it was stolen.
Yeah. Speaking of Football Time in Tennessee, Basketball Time in Tennessee is now on newsstands as well. I saw one in the Publix this week. I'm going to post about it tomorrow. And with that in mind, Reed Carringer's joining us this Sunday night. It's going to be a fun show. We'll talk about that before we finish tonight. Before we talk about the women, because I've got quite a few things I want to say about what I watched yesterday. Timothy asked, and I'll let you give your answer, and then I'll give my answer. He said, "Why are we wasting time with recruiting quarterbacks if we are now going after sitting quarterbacks at other schools?" What is that saying to McIntyre and Faison Brandon? Apparently, Heupel and Halsley can't develop quarterbacks like Cutcliffe. Oh, it just fell again. Did you see that? What do you think, Ruston?
I wouldn't. I think two things can be true at once. This has nothing to do with quarterback development. This has to do with crazy Vol fans who aren't going to be okay with 8-4. And so, if I'm sitting in Josh Heupel's seat and all I hear all the time is we have to go at least 10-2, and even then people are upset. I can't risk a season on a guy that I'm not sure about. Now,
you have to win now. There is no other option.
If George McIntyre, but at the end of but here's the other thing that can be true. The best player is going to play. So even if you go sign somebody out of the portal, if George McIntyre keeps developing and walks into spring practice and tears it up, then walks in the fall and tears it up, and he's the best man on the field, that's who's going to play. It doesn't matter what you signed out of the portal, because again, Josh Heupel needs to go 10-2. And so he's going to put the guy out there that's going to help him do that. They're going to develop the guys they have. But every kid's different and every kid develops differently and everybody hears things differently. And sometimes people don't compute. And so if they can go find somebody and have competition and the guy in the portal ends up being better, I mean, I'll be honest, I didn't expect Joey to win the job this year. He got
Yeah,
better.
he was a
He
pleasant
he
surprise.
he did he did the things that he needed to do to be better. The Joey Aguilar that played last year was not better than George McIntyre. He might not have been better than Jake Merklinger, but he worked his tail off and he solved his issues. And a lot of that was Josh Heupel and Joey Halsley. So,
And
you know,
Seth Littrell and Landry Jones.
so they absolutely develop and they develop everybody equally, and whoever wins the job wins the job.
Couple of comments start earlier about women's basketball. John said, with the women having that long of a break, Kim will be able to fix and work on the problems we've had. I hope so. Tony said,
I hope that what I talked about the other night happens. I hope they step back. I hope this game was a wake up call for them. I hope they step back, they look at their personnel, and they go, we can't always just run a free flowing, open offense. We have got to call some sets. We've got to call some quick hitters and get people certain shots in certain spots to make sure we score. A 2-week layoff is an ideal time to add those changes.
David said, having the gauntlet schedule we have is why I asked Florida if they could have gotten Mendoza instead of Lagway. Let me ask you this. We're going to talk about women's basketball now. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to? Because I have some things to say.
I'll go first. The reality is Stanford's not any good, and we're not much better. We're not much better. Stanford was extremely unathletic. They were fundamentally sound for their lack of athleticism. The lady coaching them is going to be the next Holly Warlick. She's a born and raised assistant coach. Needed to stay an assistant coach, replacing a legend. It's going to be a train wreck, and she's going to end up getting fired. I pulled something up that I thought was really interesting. The game was basically even across the board except one area. We outscored it, honestly, and it actually was exact same as the Tennessee basketball versus Syracuse. The game was won in points off turnovers. We turned Stanford over 30 times, and that created a plus 15 points off turnovers, which is exactly how many points off turnover differential Syracuse had over our men's team. So in lieu of really, really bad offense, we were able to create layups off of defense. So that's a positive. We turned them over 30 times. But I want to read you a box score, and then I'll stop dying on this hill. 12 minutes, 0 of 1 from the field, 2 fouls, 1 turnover. That is Jersey Wolfenbarger. This has been my most confusing thing I've ever seen. I can't fathom, and we're not in practice, but I can't fathom anybody could be this different in practice. I can't fathom that any coach worth anything could watch everything to this point this year Jersey Wolfenbarger has done on that court and say, maybe we're just not giving her enough minutes. They took time. Kanaya Boyd played.
They voluntarily put her in the game.
Kanaya Boyd played 8 minutes. They took time away from their second best ball handler for 0 for 1 from the field, 2 fouls, and a turnover in 12 minutes. Need I remind you, she is 6'5". How does a 6'5" girl not get a single rebound in 12 minutes? I'll tell you how. Because she spends the majority of the time looking around trying to figure out where she is and what she's doing. She has the lowest basketball IQ on the team. She looks lost at all times. And how you can watch that and go, let's take time away from somebody who absolutely has to be on the floor, who can actually go get some points for us, and who actually rebounds in exchange for someone who has done literally nothing. If you look at her stat line game by game, she's in the negative every single game. And in almost every game, she's the bottom for both teams, plus minus. I don't understand how you can watch that. For the love of everything holy, just admit you blew it. Just admit you signed somebody, and they're not all going to win. Just admit you signed one that was a bust, cut bait, move on, and play the players that are going to help you now and in the future. Lauren Hurst was a national top 50 player last year. She was the number 1 player in the state of Tennessee. She did not step off the bench against Stanford while we gave Jersey Wolfenbarger 12 minutes. This has to change. You are struggling to do anything with any effectiveness at all on offense. So if the idea is that Lauren Hurst isn't athletic enough to play for us right now, well, I guarantee you she won't go turn the ball over every possession. And I guarantee you she'll run the offense and get the ball to the right place because she probably has the highest basketball IQ on the team. It's unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah. So I've had 24 hours to think about how I wanted to word this. I think I finally figured out how I want to word it. Tennessee's Lady Vols have become offensively what they desire to make every other team they play become offensively through their defense. Here's what I mean by that. The whole system Kim brings to the table is that we're going to pressure you like crazy on defense, forcing you to make plays that you don't want to make, forcing you to throw the ball away, forcing you to make poor decisions and poor passings. We're going to steal the ball from you because you're going to be so frazzled that you're going to make poor decisions with the basketball. That's her whole purpose. That's her purpose on defensive pressure and running traps and, three-quarter court traps and stuff like that. That's why they do that. But in a weird way, we have done that. We have self-imposed that same identity on our own offense through no fault of any other team, no coercion of any other team. We just decided we're going to be the ones that don't take care of the ball, even when we're not being pressured. When they showed the stat at the end, or it was probably right at the beginning of the fourth quarter last night, and they showed the turnover differential, and Tennessee at that point in the game, Tennessee had 15 turnovers, and Stanford had 27 at the time. They showed the little graphic lower third at the bottom of the screen, and I saw it, and I was like, I don't believe that for a second. I do not believe. There's no way we only have 15 turnovers at this point. I could think of about a 3.5 minute stretch in the second quarter where we had 15 turnovers in 3.5 minutes. I mean, it was absolutely I texted Ruston and her dad at one point, and I said, "This is unbearable. Like, this is almost unwatchable." The second quarter may have been the worst second quarter in the history of Tennessee women's basketball, and I don't even say that like hyperbolic. Like, that's just the reality of it. You cannot score if you don't have the ball, and we have become just experts. We put on a master class of being out of control, jumping, leaving our feet with no idea where we're going with the ball once we leave our feet. We have become experts at not taking care of the basketball. Pat Summitt would lose her cool. She would lose her mind on these kids, man, or on this team, because they do not treat the basketball as a commodity at all. They get out of control for no reason. They're not even being pressured to be out of control. I've seen so many baseline drives where they just throw the ball into who knows where. They're not even being forced out of bounds. Like, if a person drives baseline, some coaches teach them to use the baseline as an extra defender and force them. They're not even doing that. They're just jumping and throwing it to nobody. Maybe somebody's over there. I'll throw it over there. It is unbelievably frustrating. And there is one play, and Ruston and I texted him about it when it happened, and I said, that right there is that's all you got to watch. In the fourth quarter, it was maybe a 2-point game at the time. We were down. We really needed to protect the basketball and score. We're inbounding the ball from the sideline. Talasia Cooper's inbounding the ball. There's a girl over the ball. All right. I'll put it this way. I had the distinct luxury and privilege tonight to watch 4th and 5th grade girls basketball.
A jump ball broke out.
Yeah, about 47 of them. No exaggeration.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that might be underestimating it.
Yep.
It was, at one point, my wife looked at me, and apparently you could see it on my face and my body language. She goes, "You look like you're miserable." And I said, "I am." I mean, it was horrible to watch, just horrible. Well, is it sad that there were at least 2 different occasions tonight during that 4th and 5th grade girls basketball game that we made a play, and I literally thought to myself, that looked like the Lady Vols, at how flippantly they handled the basketball and how flippantly they took care of it. There was one play where literally we tried to do what Talasia Cooper and Nia Robertson tried to do in the fourth quarter, late in the game, the play that I was referring to. I should have put like a little basketball court diagram on the screen. I should have done that. But Talasia is inbounding the ball on our side of half court. Just so everybody knows. When you're inbounding the ball in a basketball game, you can throw it to the other side of half court, and it's not over and back, just so we're all clear. They could have easily done it. They had whole half of a court to work with inbounding the ball. Instead, Nia Robertson runs over to the corner on our side of half court where the ball's being inbounded. And not only does she bring her defender with her, but she runs over to Talasia, who also has a defender there. And she traps herself.
Yep.
In the corner between the sideline and the half court line, reaching for the ball like, Talasia, pass it to me or hand it to me or something.
And Talasia did.
Exactly. I mean, that right there tells you everything you need to know about that entire game. How in the world could a Division I college basketball team do that? Dude, somebody just asked, didn't Ruston coach middle school girls? Yeah. And you know what? I guarantee you those kids would know, don't go trap yourself in the corner bringing two defenders with you. I mean, if by some chance Nia had gotten the ball, she would immediately have been surrounded on four sides, essentially by a defender, a sideline, a half court line, and two defensive players trapping her in that corner. She voluntarily put herself in literally the worst place she could have been on the court.
And Talasia said, yeah, that works, and threw it to her.
Exactly. Anybody who knows anything about basketball, anything, I saw fourth and fifth grade kids tonight know not to do that.
Well, what made it worse was not only did she do it, she did it in the front court, and she had the entire back court wide open. Yeah. She could have run into.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, there was nobody back there. All she had to do was just walk into her, Nia, that is. All she had to do was just walk into her defender a little bit, and then, not push her, because the refs probably would call that in women's basketball, but just separate herself a little bit from her and use the other 46 feet of court as space that was available to her. And we could have easily have inbounded the ball and not have just gifted Stanford another free possession. I couldn't believe it when it happened. I was already frustrated from the first half watching us just be so careless with the ball. Just so it drives me crazy when people don't take care of the basketball. And then to do that was just dumb. I'm sorry. Like, that play was just dumb. No one should ever do that in high school. Really not. You should know probably by middle school that you shouldn't do that. There should have been a coach somewhere along the way who said, hey, don't put yourself in that corner like that. That should have been taught. I could understand in the elementary game, but even in middle school, it's iffy. Surely the coach in middle school would have been like, hey, don't ever do that again. Here's why. But you should never see that in high school. And you should never see that for the winningest women's college basketball program in the history of the game. You should never have players doing that. It is unacceptable. Bottom line. So somehow, I don't know how, somehow they pulled out a win in that one. It sure didn't feel like it watching it, because I was sitting there thinking, like, this is going to be a long season. If that's the kind of stuff we're doing, this is going to be a long season. I did not turn off that game encouraged. I'll put it that way. So if you've ever watched our show, we've been doing this for 3 years. That might have been the most negative I've been ever on our show, but that's the way I felt about it right there.
The good news is they have 10 days off, and this coaching staff does know what they're doing. I mean, this coaching staff has won a national championship. They know what they're doing. They will get in the film room. They will teach. Hopefully they will evaluate honestly and remove pride and go, we've got to put the best 10 out there, like, period. It doesn't matter who's who. It doesn't matter what we thought they were. The best 10 have to play. And, that means Jersey needs to sit. It means Lauren Hurst needs to take her minutes. It means Kanaya Boyd needs to play a lot more minutes than she's getting. Alyssa Latham needs more minutes than she's getting. And, I think the biggest positive from the Stanford game was Mia Paldo is starting to see how she fits in. And they badly need her to be a primary ball handler, so Talasia
Amen.
Cooper isn't. And so the
Mia probably had
more,
her best game as of all yesterday.
yeah, and she was making good decisions. She was taking care of the ball. She was starting to see how she fits in. Um, it's she's the future, and the faster she gets up to speed on that, the better they'll be.
Totally agree. Jeff said their offense is 4 people standing outside and dribbling around trying to force something up. They don't work the ball around and they won't work to get open without it. I'll give JJ Redick some credit. A lot of people hated JJ Redick when he was in college. But if you go just watch him play, like just go back and watch some game film from him, the dude literally never stopped moving on offense, ever.
I got to see him I can't remember if it was junior year or senior year against St. John's. And 3 hours before game time, he was in the gym going through a full workout. He sweat through all of his clothes before the game ever started and went in the locker room and changed uniforms to come out in a dry uniform. I've never seen a human being work that hard.
I mean, think about trying to guard him for any prolonged period of time. Like, we had a pretty decent stretch in the men's game the other night where there were no whistles. And so like the under 12 minute timeout, it wasn't until like way after it or something. It was one of the first 2 media timeouts in the second half, I think. There was a long stretch where there were no whistles. And so the game just kept going. And imagine if you were the guy whose job it was to guard somebody who never stops moving. I mean, you would be dog tired because you don't stop moving for 3 to 4, maybe 5 minutes straight. Like that's a lot of time. Let's see. Dave said Ament has to be as good as Connect or Lanier. It's not going to happen. He doesn't have to be as good as them because he's surrounded by way more people who can score. Jacoby Gillespie can score. Amari Abram can score. We have 5 big dudes, 4 kind of 5 who can score, 2 in particular. So there are more options on the court who can score this year than in the last 2 years, probably combined, actually. David said, I'm legit worried that Louisville might sweep the men and women this year. So that is interesting. Both the men and the women have one more game coming up, and then they both play Louisville. That is their next game, 2 games from now for both teams. So that'll be interesting to see. John said Ament's a few games in his college career. Wait till later in the season to make a judgment of how good he could be.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Matt said Evan is on one tonight. Man, it was painful to watch. I just want people to take care of the ball. That's all I care about, and not make just childish decisions of. I mean, literally, like you see that in elementary basketball games, walking over to the corner and reaching out to the person. Side note, if Talasia had just handed her the ball, it would have been a turnover anyway, because you can't have the person standing out of bounds holding the ball and a person inbounds holding the ball. But she walks over and tries like, here, Talasia, pass it to me right here, hand it to me right here, like just like 2 feet away from her. It is not difficult for 2 defenders to guard a 2-foot stretch there. Like that is not difficult. So I still can't believe that happened. I mean, Division I college basketball, that's the stuff they're doing. Unbelievable. Let's see. Jeff said they won't play as a team on offense. They don't work together on that end. They drive themselves into double teams all the time. Yes, they do. I think they're all trying to get at theirs before they get subbed out. Well, I mean, maybe.
I, I don't know, but I think that might be true for a few of them.
I think they just don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think it's more they're still trying to figure out how they're supposed to play together. Remember this team's all very new to each other. There's only 3 returning players.
And so we've all said it just seems to me that Kim is married to that one way of doing things. She has no other plan. It seems if her system isn't working, we're cooked.
And she should. She won a national championship. She took over a program that had never done anything and took them to the Final Four 3 times. She took over a Marshall program that was 500 the year before she got there and won 30 games. Like, it works. Just takes time.
Well, hopefully it starts working sooner rather than later. I think it would work if we took care of the ball. Like, that's the thing. How many possessions do we just give away? Like that's the thing that kills me. They have to start taking care of the ball. Matt said the men's game against Syracuse was more infuriating. I can't agree with you, Matt. I love you, buddy, but I can't agree. I was watching that women's, especially the second quarter, thinking, what in the world am I watching? How many points did we score in the second quarter? Like 2, maybe 4? I don't know. If you can pull up the box score, that'd be great while I'm going through these. I'm curious.
I've got it.
How many points did we score in the second quarter?
8.
Wow.
No, 14.
More than I thought.
No, 14. We had 14, 14, 16, 21.
Well, I guess that 3.5 minute stretch is really burned into my brain. Because there was 3.5 minutes where I don't know if we scored anything. Let's see. Waniak, thank you so much for that super chat, buddy. I really appreciate that. He said, enjoyed the chat back and forth, go Vols. Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That is incredible. 20 not daggone, man. Thank you so much. You the man. You are the man. Let's see other comments that came through. Billy said, I thought we had another Pat Summit, but it sounds like we may not. I don't know if there'll ever be another Pat Summit. Dave said it's a poorly constructed roster by Barnes. We have more inside guys than we can play. We don't have enough guards that can shoot. I agree. Our guards needs to shoot the ball better the last couple games. More inside guys than we can play. I think that's been soundly discredited the last 2 games.
Yeah, we needed every one of them.
And JP, who hasn't been able to play. That was the Achilles heel last year. They only had 3 guys who they could put out on the court. Well, you're going to foul out. I mean, if you only have 3 big guys that you can put out on the court, and they got in foul trouble in the NCAA tournament last year, and we were like, we got to have more big dudes. So this year they got 5 of them. Like that's a luxury, and all 5 of them are playing. I mean, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Andre said, I don't think the girls are putting in the work to be great. Film don't lie. I think that's fair. David said, I'm super curious how good is the SEC this year outside South Carolina and LSU. I mean, Arkansas is always going to be good. Kentucky typically has a pretty good team. Waniak said JJ Redick was a sniper. He for sure was. Dave said we lost to an undermanned Kansas team that lost their next game at home to UConn and only scored 56 points. They scored 81 on us. Yep. It was not a good game.
Because it's November. It's November. It doesn't matter. Basketball in November is irrelevant. Basketball in November is when you work on things, when you figure out what you got, when you work on chemistry. November basketball, especially in the NIL and transfer portal era, is going to be ugly for the rest of college basketball. It just is. because none of these teams have been together enough. They're still trying to figure out who's who, and it's always going to be ugly.
David said, Evan is in his pulpit. Preach, sir. Yep. Let's see. Dave said, give me one expert that thinks Tennessee's a Final Four team. Chris Dortch said that Tennessee could very well be a Final Four team.
Jay Wright said Tennessee could be a Final Four team. He's won a couple of national championships. I think I'd listen to him.
Yeah. Matt said only 25 likes. Yeah, we'd love it if you'd like. We got 159 people watching across all three platforms right now. So we're glad y'all are with us across YouTube, X, and Facebook. We're always live on those three platforms, so we appreciate that. Let's see. We had another super chat coming. Matt, hey, thank you so much, Matt. You're the man, dude. He said, great show, bros. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That is awesome. Let's see. Billy, thanks for joining us, buddy. I appreciate you. Thanks for taking your time to join us. Always appreciate that. Dave said the Lady Vols are horrible. They sure were yesterday, and somehow they won. I still can't figure out how they won.
Well, because at the end of the day, Stanford's not good, and we created a plus 15 in points off turnovers. So, the one positive they can take away was they were playing hard enough on defense that when their offense wasn't creating anything, their defense created 25 points off turnovers versus Stanford's 10. So, there's one positive, two positives they can take away. Mia Paldo had a great night and is starting to figure out how she fits in and what her role should be. And they generated 25 points off turnovers, and that was the difference in the game.
Is it sad that we could legitimately say, Mia, your job is to get the ball across half court?
Yeah. Oh, no.
Sad.
That's real.
Yeah.
No, I would go so far as to tell her, Mia, your job is to make sure Talasia doesn't play point guard. I mean, that should be her role.
Or Nia Robertson. Nia is becoming a walking turnover. It is incredibly frustrating. Twice, once in each of the last two games, she's been the one that's driven the baseline and just chucked the ball to nobody. I'm like, come on, man. Nolan, we appreciate that, buddy. He's the 26th like on the YouTubes. I appreciate that. Mary, welcome. Glad you're with us. She said if we could get Mark Stoops as defensive coordinator, that would be awesome. I think Mark is just going to enjoy his retirement, if I had to guess.
I don't know. I've heard rumbles that there may have been a conversation, but it's been hard to confirm.
You give me $37 million, I could play a lot of golf with $37 million. I can tell you that much right now.
Sure. The crazier part was it had to be paid in 60 days. I was joking with somebody tonight about, like, does that require a PO at the college business office? Like, who's walking into the business office at the college and being like, hey, did that $37 million wire go through yet?
Yeah. It's like, I know we submitted our budget request earlier this year for next year, but I'm going to need another little check here.
As somebody who raises money for a living, I can't fathom going to donors and being like, hey, listen, y'all have been really generous. I appreciate everything you've done for us. I'm going to need $37 million so I can make Mark Stoops go away.
Yeah, so I can fire somebody.
Who were the donors that were like, okay, let's go?
Yeah, exactly. I believe Orange said you could even hire a professional trainer for golf. I was legit thinking that. I was like, I might even could get a couple lessons out of that. if I wanted to. Let's see. Waniac said he could play with a cart. Yeah, that's what I do, man. But you know what? I might be like, hey, I'm going to walk a couple if I had that much. Somebody asked who Chris Dortch is. Chris Dortch is the writer of Blue Ribbon College Basketball Yearbook, which is the definitive preseason magazine for every college basketball season. It's the equivalent of Phil Steele's college football magazine. ESPN announcers use it during games on the sideline as their research for the teams that they're covering.
He's also, if you ask college or NBA coaches, he's one of the most respected basketball journalists in America. And there are the NBA draft actually uses his analysis for their analysis during the draft. He has college coaches who call him, Power 5 coaches who call him to ask about players because they trust his opinion and what he believes he has seen. There are colleges who use his book as their scouting report. He is one of the most knowledgeable basketball minds in the history of journalism.
Rick Barnes called him and asked him what he thought about Jalen Carey before they signed Jalen Carey.
Yep. I mean, and Dalton. He called him about Dalton too.
Yep. Let's see. Yep. Well, I'm going to let everybody know you want to be here Sunday night. Sunday night at 9:00, we're going to have Reed Carringer with us. Y'all, Sunday is going to be a huge day. It is going to be a huge day because we're going to know Sunday afternoon by 1 p.m. We're going to know what the college football playoff bracket is. And then we all know this. As soon as that bracket is done at 1 p.m., all the other, dominoes are going to start falling of what team is playing in what bowl game, where they're going to be playing. It's all going to start happening really quickly at that point. And so I would venture to guess that we would know maybe as early as 2:00, but definitely no later than 4:00 where Tennessee's going to be playing their bowl game. We're going to know real quick all those things. And so we're going to talk about all of it Sunday night. It's going to be a great show. We're going to have Reed Carringer with us, and we're going to do position by position analysis, like grades of every position on the football team. We'll do quarterbacks, running backs, offensive line, tight ends, wide receivers. And then on defensive side, we'll do defensive line, linebackers, and secondary. And then we'll do coaching. And we're going to do our grades for each of those. Then we're going to all three of us are going to give our college football playoff bracket predictions. And, we'll give you our full rundown of who we think is going to win each game, who's going to end up winning the whole thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a really good show. Obviously, we'll have a little bit of basketball to talk about as well because the men do play Saturday. Saturday night, 8:00 p.m. Eastern. And it's in Nashville against Illinois. So that'll be a fun one. Obviously, another top 25 matchup. So hope Jacoby's playing well because, as we know, this team goes as Jacoby goes. So hope they play well. Ruston, you got any other last statements for this evening?
Just one totally random one, but I'm excited. I can't stand Deion Sanders. I don't trust him as far as I could kick him. But Colorado just hired Brennan Marion to be their new offensive coordinator. That is a fascinating hire. And Brennan Marion's the inventor of the go-go offense, which I love. And so it's going to be really interesting to see because their personnel doesn't fit that. So apparently they're going to hit the portal and completely retool their entire offense. And they're changing everything and running the go-go, which will be a lot of fun to watch.
Dester, thank you, buddy. He said, great show. Good night, everybody. Hey, thanks for joining us, buddy. Jonathan said, great show as always. I'll see everyone Sunday night. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you, Jonathan. We really appreciate that, man. Hope you have a great weekend too. Wayniak, thanks for joining us tonight, buddy. He said, good night. God bless you all. God bless you too, man. He said, go Vols. Absolutely. Mississippi Vols said, go Vols, baby. That's right. You know, that's right. Dave said, November basketball is where you get your big out of conference wins, which helps your seeding. That's true. I mean, hey, I guarantee you Syracuse is going to be using the Tennessee game as a quad one win that they're going to be talking about in March. I mean, that's the facts.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it'll help
we
your
need to
it'll
beat
help
Illinois tomorrow or Saturday.
yeah, it'll help your RPI a little bit, but they put a lot more stock into the conference schedule than the non-conference.
Jeff, welcome. Jeff, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. He said, love you guys. Great show as always. Let's remember to pray for each other. Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. Matt said, go Vols, baby. He knows. He knows. He was the OG go Vols, baby person. So I hope everybody has a great evening. Seriously, really, you're going to want to be here Sunday night. Like I'm legit really excited about that show. That's going to be a lot of fun. So you'll definitely want to be here too. We hope all of you have a great evening. Go Vols, baby. And I'm going to end on the basketball one since we talked basketball tonight. So go Vols, baby. We'll see you Sunday.